Hello and welcome to Three Things with J.R. I'm J.R. and I've got a slightly different kind of show for you today. Thanks to my mother, who is in Florida, in Sarasota, who has recently moved there a couple years ago now and making friends. And one of the friends she's made happens to have a podcast. And she told me about it. And then I listened to one of their episodes. And they listened to some of my episodes, and we started emailing back and forth, and we decided to do this thing where I'd be on their podcast and they'd be on my podcast, kind of all at the same time. So we recorded 40 minutes or so of a Zoom call with all three of us talking, Dave and Dale from this podcast called Two Old Bucks, and myself. And we had a fun time, and I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. There's certainly a lot more information I want about Dave and Dale from Two Old Bucks. And maybe at some point in the future I'll get even more, but we've sort of chipping away at who these two guys really are. They are self-proclaimed, friends, explorers, and they just want to kind of chit-chat and record it and make it a podcast. And they've been doing it for about the same amount of time that I've been doing Three Things with J.R. So I was interested to find out, what do their numbers look like? Are they having success? Do they like doing it? And it seems like they do, and I'm jealous of their numbers. They don't sound like incredible numbers, but they're better than mine as far as how many people listen to our shows. So I'm hoping to grab some Two Old Bucks listeners and bring them over here into Three Things with JR land. And I'm sure some of you will enjoy checking out Two Old Bucks, their podcast. Two guys just talking about whatever they feel like talking about. And and they're interesting guys for sure. And I'm telling you, they've only scratched the surface of the stories those two guys could tell, and I'm excited to be a part of their show. Hopefully they are excited to be a part of mine, and that's what you're going to hear in just a few minutes after the break. So we're going to get right to it. There is three things involved in this interview right there towards the very end, but mostly it's just us all getting to know each other. So yeah, quick break, little ad, and then we'll be back with Two Old Bucks.
Take up all the chances and tell your truth. You be you. Don't be afraid, just do what you do. You can show the world the right thing to do. You be you.
Go ahead, Dave. Introduce us.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I was just closing all these windows open that I got.
Dale's raring to go here.
Raring to go. Okay, everybody, back again. This is Old Buck Dave, one of the Two Old Bucks, and with me is none other than
Old Buck Dell.
Old Buck Dale. But we have a secret, super surprise today. We have a guest with us. I guess he's a guest, and we're going to be a guest of his. And our guest would be J.R. Stoffel, who's got his own podcast called Three Things with J.R. And he's graciously agreed to chat with us this evening. And so we're looking forward to this. J.R., how are you doing?
I am doing quite well on this lovely Sunday evening. How are you two guys doing?
Doing well. Other than I have no water to my house.
That's not good.
Not good, but other than that, I'm just doing great.
And I myself am doing fine, and I was rather excited. I've been excited all day to get a chance to talk to a JR and just another podcaster.
Another podcast.
So,
Well, Dale,
why
don't you let everybody know what the connection is here, and how we got the JR.
Well, basically, I know somebody who knows JR, and I said, geez, you know a podcaster? I said, I'm a podcaster. And she said, he's a podcaster. And I said, well, let's tell him about us, and maybe he'll, give us, write to us, and we can talk to him. It'd be fun to do that. So The connection was made, I guess, verbally, and JR took the trouble to write to us, and away we go. We're here right now.
So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So JR, can I start by asking you something?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, your podcast says you're an actor, a comedian, musician, so you're already way more talented than we are.
It doesn't say how good I am at any of those things.
Well, look, we all know podcasting is like printing money. We're just we're
That's
swimming
right.
in money here as a result of the podcast income. But do you have a day job to keep you amused while you're not podcasting?
I do indeed. I've been employed at Crutchfield for the last 26 years. Crutchfield is an online retailer of.
That's the electronics.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything consumer electronics. So if you have car stereo needs, home theater needs, cameras, drones, basically anything like that. My job is to teach our new advisors how to help our customers. So if you're shopping on our website and you want help from a human, that's one thing you can get at Crutchfield, and it's really good help. You can call, you can chat online, and you'll be talking to somebody who I've taught. I've probably taught them all about the gear itself, as well as just how to figure out what product we sell might fit someone's needs, and of course, all the policy and procedure stuff too. So that's what I do all year long, is I teach new sales advisors at Crutchfield.
Nice. So you can actually talk to a real person.
I was going to say, Dave, we did, JR, we've done podcasts on the inability to get to a human person. And I find that refreshing that you're saying, no, we have a business that actually helps a person to get to. That's a big plus in today's world.
Yeah, that's why we do it. When you call Crutchfield, you will hear one recording, and then you'll hear a live human. The recording simply says we're recording these calls, for quality assurance, like you're going to have anywhere, just to fill all the legal battles with that. And then you're not going to have to press 1 for sales and 2 for tech support, none of that stuff. Your phone's going to ring and it's going to go to an advisor, as long as we don't have a bunch of customers on hold. So really, what other companies are lacking is where we thrive. It's our strong suit, is our people, and we want our customers talking to our people as easily as possible.
Well, that explains a point that Dell and I made to each other independently, and that was, boy, this guy's a good speaker. His elocution is great, very articulate. So that makes sense. That's your job.
It is what I do all day, every day, as I'm explaining things to people.
JR, I commented to Dave in the phone call earlier. I said, he actually speaks clearly enough that he completes a full thought. And I said, unlike myself, where I depend greatly on Dave to interpret what I said and try to figure out what I meant by that.
And it's not easy.
So you're actually very good. I want to give you a compliment straight off the top. You have a great voice quality and your articulation of the words, and that is very clear. So that's a big plus for a podcaster. So
absolutely,
well done there.
Well, I'll take that compliment all day long. It makes me feel pretty good to know that people enjoy listening to me, because I enjoy talking. So
we enjoy talking to it. We're just not so good at it, but we're working on it.
Don't let that stop you. And I like that you guys are not letting it stop you.
We are both retired, so we've got plenty of time to practice.
I have a question. Hey, JR, when I looked at, I picked a podcast at random, obviously, and because I found it interesting that of the topics, you've chosen to elaborate on three subjects during every podcast. And I looked at it, I said, man, that's a wide-ranging scope of interest. How do you stay on top of all that? How do you keep track of all those things?
Yeah, how do you pick the three for every week? I have the same question written down.
I love it. Yes, it's different every week. So 3 things. The whole concept of that started somewhere around 10 years ago when I was divorcing my now ex-wife. We were still living together, but I was basically in avoidance mode, and so I would stay in my office and I would stay up way too late doing, watching videos on the internet, Facebooking, doing various other things. And at some point, I was like, all right, I guess I got to go to bed. But what I did was one night, it just hit me like, here's 3 thoughts I have before I go to bed. I should be in bed, but here's what I'm thinking about right now. And I just typed it up and put it out on Facebook. And I got a lot of response from it. So I started doing it every day or every night before I would go to bed. And this would be 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning most of the time. And that went on for a few months. And I guess it kind of fizzled out. And I didn't think much about it. But several people over the years said, I really liked it when you did that 3 things. That was really, I enjoyed reading that. So when it was, when the pandemic hit, and I couldn't go out and do stand-up comedy anymore because that pretty much was shut down. I had been wanting to do a podcast for years anyway. The concept of 3 things just made sense. And so when I think of 3 things for the show, they're not exactly rules. They're more like guidelines. But typically thing number 1 is something deep or witty or clever or moving or meaningful. It could be anything and everything. It shouldn't be lighthearted. It should be kind of important.
Okay.
Thing number 2 is usually having something, it's kind of like a recommendation. It's what am I listening to or reading or watching right now that I want to tell people about, and why is it moving me? Why do I find it important? Why do I think others might enjoy it? And then thing number 3 is just something stupid. I mean, it can be anything from potty humor to some clever joke I'm working on for my stand-up.
Cutting your mattress in half, something like that.
Exactly. Just something dumb.
Okay.
And so that was the 3 things. That's kind of how it evolved on Facebook so many years ago, and it's my general guidelines for how to do them now. Although I don't always follow my own guidelines. I play fast and loose with those rules.
Well, that's the great thing about being the boss, right?
Exactly.
You can change the rules whenever you want.
Yep.
Hey, JR, how many people are on your staff?
Oh, it's just me.
Oh, we have 11 people working for us. We have 10 guys named Dave and me.
So Dave does all the jobs except for the job of being Dell?
Yeah, that's right.
I do all.
And sometimes he does that voice too.
I do all the grunt work, and he provides the insanity. Yeah.
So
where does he come up with this stuff? Yeah.
One of the reasons I was interested in talking to you guys was because it seemed like we both have been podcasters for roughly the same amount of time. We both started in 2020. For me, as I just explained, it was definitely pandemic related. Was what part of why I got started. Was it pandemic related for you as well?
It kind of was. Yes. We have a habit where our tradition is getting together and having coffee every week at one coffee shop or another. And of course that stopped. And then I said to Dale one day, I said, you know what, we ought to do a podcast. And
you said, do you want to do a podcast?
And your reply was,
what's a podcast?
What's a podcast? So that's how we started. So
let me add a little something to that, Dave.
Please do.
Yeah, the other thing is that what you hear as a podcast really is just an extension of a typical coffee. When we meet to have coffee, we talk the same way, we laugh about the same things, and then it just sort of transitioned into doing it more publicly. But that's basically how it started.
Yeah, we thought maybe there are 4 or 5 other people out there that might be interested in our coffee chatter. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, for me, it sort of has completely taken the place of, how so many people post things on Facebook like, here's what I'm doing today, here's what here's what I did yesterday. I don't ever do that. If you want to know what I'm into, what I'm doing, listen to my podcast.
There you go.
There you go. That's where I explain what's going on with me.
Well, hey Dave, don't we have a total? We get a total from our carrier about how many people actually listen to us, even though maybe one time. They're not regular listeners.
We get different kind of statistics. Yeah.
I would
do you get
love to
statistics
know.
like that?
I do, and I was hoping we could talk about them, even in just, I don't know if how specific we need to go, but I'm curious. I mean, how do my numbers stack up to another podcast that kind of got started around the same time, you guys, and. I'm also curious, what, if anything, have you done to promote it, to get more listeners? Have you done much? And what are we talking about? How many listeners? I know I'm not happy with my numbers. I think they should be higher, and I'm not sure what to do about that. So I'm wondering.
We're gonna boost them ratings up.
That's why I'm here, guys.
We're gonna send you to the moon, baby.
you're gonna get listeners from Moscow or someplace that.
I have that. Yeah,
that's the interesting thing is, we don't have a huge audience. We have a loyal audience. The best ones that we've done have been, around 300 listens, 300 downloads, whatever. And we're, it's typically, we get statistics every week, and it's 80 or 100 or 120 or 150. So it bounces around.
Mm-hmm.
But we have loyal listeners, though. That's for sure.
And so do you. I'm sure you do, JR. But my own feeling about that is that I believe every now and then we make a difference in somebody's life. We say something. One of the things that gets me is the lady who was suffering from an ailment, and remember, Dave, she wrote to us and said, I'm not feeling well, and I listen to you people, and you make me fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that's where we came up with the Melatonin Brothers. I tell you, that really touched my heart, that if we could do that, if she was listening to us and as sick as she was able to sleep, then 1,000 or 10,000 listeners doesn't make a difference, but making a difference in one person's life, I think that's just a big number to me. So.
Yeah, it's really one of those unintended consequences that we've had. We every once in a while we'll get just a really incredible letter from somebody saying, I really felt good after doing this, after listening, or that's nice. What kind of advertising do we do? Nothing. That's the problem,
We even tried. We even mentioned people. I even wrote to people, and they didn't even respond.
We went on Twitter, but I don't know what to say. So we just got a couple followers on Twitter, and I was banned from Facebook, so I can't do anything there. So.
Oh boy, what'd you do?
I didn't do it. It was very innocent. It was very innocent when I was signing the Bucks up. I used a combination of our names. I didn't use my name because I didn't want it to be me. I wanted it to be the Bucks, and somehow they figured out it was a fake name, and they immediately banned me, banned us. So.
Oh, were you trying to create an actual, like, a person's Facebook page?
Like a page for the Bucks, yeah. And whatever I did, I hit the wrong things, and I was.
Yeah,
I was torched.
Facebook has made that easier. I have several Facebook pages that I manage, one for Three Things with J.R., one for the band that I'm in, and so it's pretty easy to do that now. I don't know how long ago that was for you, but it's not too bad these days.
Okay, well, that was right when we were starting.
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
Okay. Hey, J.R., let me pay you another compliment.
Let's go. I'm ready.
The fact that that you do all that you do, and I believe you have a loyal group of people that listen to you. But even if you get a random selection or something like that, I just have a feeling with your style and your just your radio demeanor that you make one person, you make somebody smile and you make somebody laugh, and that's, to me, is all worth it. I think you're doing a great job. I'm gonna go stand up and say that people should just check you out, especially maybe a few that are listening to us on a regular basis. Maybe they'll switch over there and just hear what you have to say.
I would love that because I think that my show is not only appealing to people that know me. I think I have interesting takes on things and fun ways to talk about them in a good sounding podcast, right? That's what I'm striving for is the good audio quality, good content. And I think if anybody gave it a listen, it's got wide appeal as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. Absolutely agree. Absolutely. Hey, we got weights and fish, man.
There you go.
That was great.
I sat down that night and had no idea what I was going to talk about on the podcast that night. And I was scrolling through a news website and I was like, what? Let's check this out. And then I started seeing the videos with the weights and the fish and all of the videos that went viral with that. And everybody was covering it, everybody from Fox News to the Huffington Post was on it. I thought, if everybody's covering this basically the same way, this is real. And it just, something about all the video just grabbed me. And I wrote out most of my thoughts on that, recorded it as the podcast. The next night I went and did it as a shorter, like a 5-minute stand-up routine, and it got wonderful laughs there. It's a short-term sort of a bit. It's not like a comedy joke I'll be doing 2 years from now, but it was fun while it lasted. And I don't typically do that topical of a topic of comedy or anything like that. So it was very different for me to approach it that way and have some fun doing it. And that's why I suggested you guys might want to check that one out, because I'm really proud of that episode.
Yeah, and listen, we're gonna put a link to your the name of your podcast and all that sort of thing in our liner notes here. We've already said it's Three Things with J.R. Episode 104 is the one we're talking about right now, folks. We got weights and fish.
I actually thought that was funny, Dave. As soon as I saw the weights and fish, I said, makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And a couple months ago, a friend of mine who's a bass fisherman, he goes to these tournaments not just local, he goes some distance. And he was telling me about all the extensive cheating in these tournaments. He said, Dave, the prize might be $100 and guys will be cheating. Guys will be stuffing lead sinkers down the fish. It's unbelievable. So, yeah. But that was big time there. That was like the World Series of fishing, I guess.
Hey, JR, I picked up one of your, you were talking about a Lee Child book in the one episode that I was listening to. And I've read him. And of course, Dave has complained bitterly that I've never been able to give a coherent book report. And
did I say that?
Yeah, I think a couple times he said
I probably did. Yeah.
You spelled the author wrong and all those things like that. But anyhow, I saw that I listened to that and I said, that really was an interesting book report. So if someone is tuning in just to hear the stuff you read, that might throw them a nice bone to hear how you describe those books too. And you had a question for me about something I left unsaid.
That's right. I listened to your episode 104, and you had a story about staying at the Ponce de Leon Hotel in St. Pete.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded like, by the way, I think I would have done what you did, which was to make the most of it, thinking about how much fun this is going to be as a story to tell on my podcast. Right? I mean, you could bail out, but it would be more fun to live through it. So
if you want to give a good comedy routine, then I recommend you stay there. But
come down to St. Pete and stay at the Ponce de Leon.
But the way that your question is how did I know that what the price discrepancy was?
Well, you said in the episode the price ended up being much higher than I thought it was going to be, and I'll explain why at the end of the episode. So I was,
and of course I didn't.
I was eagerly waiting for that sort of resolve, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, I want to know.
I'll give you the answer to that question. I asked when I saw the numbers on the credit card numbers, and then I said, lady, would you give me a receipt? And she gave me a receipt for what the hotel was paid, what I technically paid for the room. And it was like $36 cheaper. And that even I had to pay a special $20 parking fee just so I had someplace to put the car. Mm-hmm. But that's how I knew that the website that booked that hotel must book risky business. So That's a story. That's how I found out there was such a
It's
a
all
large
clear
commission.
now, right, JR? It's all clear now? Welcome to my world.
Did that answer my question? I'm not
I'm
sure.
hoping it
I'm
did.
not sure.
I
That's
don't
how
think so.
I don't think it
Well,
did.
It's close. It was
come on,
close.
guys, give me a break here. But
All
I'm
right,
telling
all
you,
right.
from,
Hey,
the,
I
from the
got-
hotel receipt, from what I paid the credit card and hotel receipt was a big difference. And she said, "This is all you paid us." And I said, "But I paid more than that." She said, "Not our problem, man." So that's the story of that. Otherwise, the adventures that we sometimes choose are for topics. I mean, Dave and I have different interests, but we have each other to bounce all this stuff off, and that's a big plus. You notice we're old friends, JR?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long
Probably
is-
since we
how-
were like eight or 9 years old.
Oh,
something
that
like
was
we really, really, really hope that comes across, because our podcast is based on friendship and having somebody to talk to, and so that's what we base our
And
our
you guys,
premise on.
you guys don't live close enough to each other to do the show like together in the same room.
We
We-
could,
we-
but we don't like each other that much. No, we could, but
we
sometimes
do that.
it's just
Sometimes
convenient.
we do. Yeah, it's sometimes we just like for example, the last episode I called Dale at like 1:15. I said, "Hey, you want to do 2:00?" And he says, "Sure." He says, "Let me see. I got some notes here. He says, "I can talk about a bus, a bell, and a bed." I said, "Okay, that's the planning we do." So
And sometimes we do have coffee. We definitely still have. We get together
we
for
do.
coffee. We just don't record those sessions unless we're
Yeah.
because
So-
it's hard to do that in Starbucks.
I do sometimes think it would be nice to have a co-host, somebody to always have somebody, something to bounce things off of. And I do another podcast for my job at Crutchfield. I'm also the host of Crutchfield the podcast. So if anybody's interested in a more consumer electronics driven podcast, there you go.
Okay.
And on that show, I typically do have a co-host. There's always an interview and a co-host, and so I am always bouncing stuff off, and that is quite a bit of fun. And so, yeah, I could see a co-host might make the podcast more fun for me. It might make it more engaging for listeners as well. So, just seeing that when we were emailing back and forth, just seeing that, thinking, I wonder if I should try to really do that and give somebody the sort of that co-hosting sort of position at Three Things with JR at the corporation that is mega Three Things with JR. But yeah, it's definitely you guys got me thinking for sure.
It's something to think about. Yeah, I think it for us it works. And each one, days that I don't have any ideas, he happens to have some, and vice versa, and we manage to get it together and bounce things off each other. And we really keep it. There's no rehearsal or anything like that.
Yeah.
We just, you're hearing at the same time I'm hearing this stuff. So
That's the
Probably figured out there was no preparation when you listened to it.
That's the best way. Do you guys do you edit out anything that you didn't want people to hear, or like if you totally goofed on some words, or if you had a coughing fit or something, do you edit out much, or do you just let it roll?
I do edit that out.
Yeah.
I particularly I'll go into or I might say the same thing. I might say the same thing. I might say the same thing 3 times. So I cut 2 of those out. And sometimes we'll do 40 minutes and throw 5 minutes away, or throw 8 minutes away.
Yeah.
So Dave, we should probably tell some of our listeners and that are listening to us regularly. There's some of they're picking up some inside information on.
That's right.
On how efficient we are. but several of them know us from the old days, and there's some new folks, of course. But yeah, we have some ideas. But I just, again, it's some friendship, and we encourage people to check in on old friends, and we encourage them to, like I said, get in touch with somebody they've knew many years ago or something. And if we do pass on a good book, they respond and say thank you for the tip, and so it's all worthwhile to us.
Yeah. Well, hey JR, let me ask you a couple things here.
Okay.
Your bio on your podcast says actor, comedian, musician. You've already referred to the stand-up already. So tell us a little bit about those three things: acting,
Sure.
comedy, and musician.
So
I know you're a drummer, right?
I am indeed a drummer. I always wanted to play drums. I never had a set of drums. I wasn't taught as a kid, although my mother did have a set of drums when I was a kid, and I fell asleep with my head in her kick drum. So I've had rhythm beat into me from a young age.
Literally.
Yes. And it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 years ago now, that maybe not quite that long, that my ex-wife, she got me a set of drums one year for Valentine's Day. It was one of the coolest things she ever did.
Wow.
She remembers it as probably the biggest mistake of her life. But I remember it as one of the coolest things she ever did. She got me a video. I watched the video. It got me going with basic beats. And I just played along with songs in my basement for a couple years. And then I met a guy at a barn where we were keeping my daughter's horse. And he said, "Hey, you should come over to my friend's house. We play music." And I was like, I don't know if I could bring my drums over. He's like, "Nah, we got a set of drums." And so I showed up with a pair of drumsticks, and for the first time ever, I played music with other people live in the room. And that experience was life-changing. And I've basically been in a band ever since, with some of those people, but mostly different people now. We're a rock and roll band. We are the current iteration of our band is called To Be Fair, TOBEFARE, To Be Fair. And we literally just this week put out 2 new songs called Transparent and Love Will Find a Way, which we all wrote together and had a really good time recording earlier this year. We're quite proud of them. So if anybody wants to check those out, it's available anywhere you stream songs. So I have been enjoying playing music live with other people for quite a long time now.
Nice. And what about the acting and comedy?
Yeah, so acting, I did a little bit in high school. I was in one play in high school, and then really didn't do any acting until almost exactly a year ago now, when my cool girlfriend that I'm with now, she really helped me realize that I enjoy musical theater. I thought that was something I hated up until she made me go to a Broadway musical with her 7 years ago, and I've kind of been hooked ever since. And every time we would go to one, I would think to myself, gosh, I kind of want to do this. This seems awesome. And finally, one day, she sent me an audition page for a local theater that was taking auditions for A Christmas Story, the musical. You guys have seen the movie A Christmas Story?
Right.
With Ralphie and the BB gun and the tire and the fudge. Yeah. So they do a musical of that. It was on Broadway, not for very long, but they take that whole story and they do it to music. And I auditioned for the role of Gene Shepherd, which is the guy who wrote A Christmas Story. And he's basically has a radio show in this show, and he narrates the story, just like the movie has a narrator. That's the voice of Gene Shepherd, actually. So my job was not to just be off stage, but to be intertwined with the actors narrating the story, a little bit of singing, a little bit of dancing, but mostly just talking to the audience. And I mean, I got to tell you, every second of being at the theater for rehearsal, for preparation, for tech week, for performances, it was everything I wanted it to be. I knew I wanted to be in more, so now I've been in 2 more since then. Something Rotten and Kinky Boots are the next 2 shows I did. And I'm taking this fall off because I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm planning to audition for more shows in 2023 because it's the new thing that's got me super excited.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think that's fantastic.
I have a question, though. Do you have time to sleep? Do you ever sleep?
Yeah.
Not
I'm
enough.
tired listening to all this, man. I'm impressed.
I take a nap every day. I don't know about you, JR.
Yeah. Sometimes I make up for it on the weekends usually, but even then there's stuff I want to do. So I don't get as much sleep as I should, for sure.
Hey, I do need your help, JR. I'm going to ask you to help me out with something.
Okay.
If you happen to run into Elon, Elon Musk.
I've heard of him.
Right. Well, if you happen to run into or know somebody that knows him, tell him old Buck Dale was trying to get in touch with him.
He's the guy that almost owns Twitter.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Yeah.
So if you happen to run into him, go ahead and pass my
But-
regards on. Tell him to get in touch with old Buck Daly. I want to do a mano on mano, interview with him. So
He's the guy whose cars are currently catching fire down in Florida because of the salt water.
Right. That's the guy.
I'm not going to ask him about any of that stuff.
No, you're going to keep it light, or
I'm gonna keep it light. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it light.
you want to be friends with this guy.
Well, as friendly as you can be, but I'm thinking maybe between the three of us,
You think you're going to get a free car? Or
he
something
might
like that.
no, he might maybe he'll give you a call. Who knows?
Come on.
Hey, so I have a question for you two. On your podcast bio, it mentions you were explorers. What kind of exploring have you guys done?
Well, I think just kind of we're world explorers.
Just in the general sense?
I mean, my job has taken me to a lot of countries around the world.
Everywhere.
Dell has lived around the world in some places, a lot, and so yeah, we're just kind of exploring the world and exploring life.
Yeah,
really.
we're men of the
We look
world.
at it as exploring life, really.
Yeah.
Were these
travel
jobs you
around.
can talk about? It sounds like you don't want to talk about them.
Well,
I don't want to talk about it. I mean, Dave,
no,
Dave
I
can
had-
talk
I-
about it.
I had a
don't-
great job. My job was in manufacturing most of my life, and I had suppliers and customers and competitors that I dealt with around the world. I got lots of trips to China and other places in Asia, and South America, and all over Europe and Africa, and had a lot of interesting experiences. A couple near-death experiences, I think, but it was quite a fun job. I got to say, I really liked my job for a lot of years. So I think I was lucky that I got to see the world on somebody else's nickel.
It is nice having a good job that you enjoy doing, especially if you get to get paid to get all the travel around the world. That sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great.
And my travel, the gist of my travel adventures would probably, I guess, to sum it up very simply, would be I was mostly taken to the border at gunpoint and told not to come back.
Oh,
He's not making this up.
okay.
I said, okay, all right, guys, all right, bye.
Well,
This is probably the first time that anybody
I
else
think
has heard this.
I think if you want to take your podcast from 300 listeners to like 1,200 listeners, that might be stuff to talk about.
No. We don't
No?
talk about that.
No?
No,
Would you come on my podcast and talk about it? You can go incognito that way.
Everybody has two. Every country has two borders: the one in and the one out. You know, it's like, when you go out, you're in some other country, and you just carry on. So
I think we're almost out of time, but I would love to do something here to finish this up if you guys are game.
Sure,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
please.
I would
do.
love to make you guys, I'm putting you on the spot now, to give me 3 things. I'll prompt you and just come out with whatever comes to mind quickly. So thing number 1, tell me something meaningful, something clever, witty, some life motto, something you want words to live by. Anything you got, either one of you.
when you cut your mattress in half, there's no turning back.
That sounds more like a third thing than a first thing.
Yeah, like the Rolling Stones say, you can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you get what you need.
Those are great words, and that's the spirit of thing number 1. And if we all remember that, we'll be better people. All right, thing number 2. Give me something that is moving you guys right now, something you want others to know about that's out there in the world. Books, songs, TV shows, movies, anything.
I personally would like to have more people involved in public transport. I'm a bus driver or bus rider. I use public transport a lot. I think more people should support it. That moves me.
That moves you. I like to write. I'd like to get more short stories out there in front of the public. And if I take some time off from podcasting, maybe I'll do that. No,
There you go.
I guess I really didn't answer your question.
Neither one of you did, but well, that's okay.
No, that's okay.
That's part of our skill level.
There you go. You guys-
we're aloof and
you-
we can,
Successfully
avoid
evaded it. I like it. Thing number 3 is sometimes the hardest one. Tell me something just stupid funny. Emphasis on stupid.
Yeah, all right. When you cut your mattress in half, there's no turning back. Think about that. I thought about that the other day.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you're committed. You can't put it back together. You can't use it. Nothing else to do with it. You got to start afresh.
We'll have to talk again to figure out why you're cutting mattresses in half. But
this one, I wanted to see how it was made. Actually, that's why I did this one.
I don't do Zoom very much. What's going to happen when this less than 1 minute thing expires?
It's just going to turn us off here. It's just going to turn us off.
We should just keep
so
talking.
We're gonna say goodbye, huh?
Yeah, why don't we say goodbye right now?
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. I would love to do this again sometime.
All right. Likewise.
Thank you, JR. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all our listeners, thank you for listening. 2 old bucks and our guest, JR.
Take
knows
care,
what we're going
everybody.
to come up with next time.
Adios, guys. Thanks so much.
Adios. Bye-bye.
So there you go. That's me and 2 old bucks. Just kind of hanging out, shooting the shit, having some fun. And I strongly urge you to check out their podcast. It's just exactly like it sounds. 2, the number 2, except it's TWO, old, as in not young, bucks, as in deer, male deer. So 2 old bucks, check out their podcast. They've got almost the same number of episodes out as I do, so there's plenty to listen to. And those are 2 interesting guys that we are now hooked up in forever in the world of podcasts. So there will be a link to their podcast in the show notes of this show if you want to make it easy on yourself to get over there. And again, big thanks to Dave and Del for talking to me on their show and for letting me put their show on my show. Yeah. And big thanks to Mom for hooking us all up and getting us connected. I don't know what we'll talk about next week, but we'll be back in a week. See you then. Have a great one.
You be you. Take up all your chances.